Welcome to the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast, where we provide insight and feedback on what's working right now in the world of dental marketing so that you can grow your practice, serve more patients, and leave a greater impact in the end. I'm your host, Mark Thackeray. All right, my friends, welcome back. Another episode coming your way of the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast. I just finished up a great conversation with Avalon Hartman, who is with Empath IQ, and they help out with online reputation management. So what people are saying about your practice, how to generate reviews and contribute to that conversation about your business online. It's very, very fascinating conversation that we had. She shared something that I had never heard and that has a significant impact on your production. She talks about, it's a statistic and that was from a study by the Harvard Business School that talks about how you can increase your practice revenue between 5 to 9% just by improving this one thing. Very, very important, staggering, astounding, all those things, implications for your practice. I mean, you're talking about maybe an extra 50 to 100K if you're at $1 million practice just from doing this one thing. It's awesome numbers. And we get into lots of different things, how to generate more reviews, what to do when you have a negative review. Can you get those removed? How many reviews do you need? Is there a magic number? And so many other questions. So buckle up, grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to take some notes. But let's dive into this conversation with Avalon Hartman.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. We have a very exciting guest today. I have Avalon Hartman with me from Empath IQ to talk a little bit about reputation management. Avalon, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me today.
Oh, you bet. I'm looking forward to this. I've got a whole list of questions that we put together. And excited to jump into this because it's a topic that we get a lot of questions about. It's not something that we focus on, so we steer them to people like yourself that handle this. But it's something that does come up quite a bit. But before we get into that, Avalon, why don't you take a minute or two and just share a little bit about your background and your experience?
Thank you. Let's see, my background. I actually come from the trade show marketing and exhibit sales. I was doing that for many years. And then COVID happened and it shut it down completely. On a dime, we stopped. So I transitioned or pivoted to reputation management, to Empath IQ. Great company, cutting edge software, very topical and to the point for today's environment. Everybody is on the internet, as we know. Everybody is leaving reviews for everything, right. Whether it's restaurants or Amazon or whatever. You can't escape it. And I think medical practitioners or dentists have a really good opportunity to put their name out there in a really positive light and get more patients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it interesting too. So you came from that face-to-face marketing, trade show, exhibit, and just how nowadays, and that still is viable. I know they're starting to come back and do a lot more in-person events. But, you look at the landscape now, and for a dentist, a lot of people, the first thing that they're going to do when they're researching a dentist is go online, right? That's kind of the reality of where we live and how we operate nowadays. So talk to us about that, Avalon. So first off, let's kind of step back and define. You talked about reputation management. So what actually is reputation management?
Well, reputation management is just the process of being able to control to the extent possible what is being said about you online and hopefully garnering favorable reviews as much as monitoring maybe unfavorable reviews and being able to respond to the unfavorable reviews. So you don't kind of look like a jerk or you don't look like you're not compassionate. You want to be able to respond to the people who are not happy because it's human nature that you're going to get some people who are cranky. And I think everybody realizes that when they read reviews. If you have, 100 positive reviews that are all 5 stars, but not a lot of content, maybe they're not real. It's always good to sift through and go on a percentage basis, you'll get people who are unhappy. And it certainly speaks to your credibility, actually, that you have some negative and not 5s, but maybe you've got some 4s in there, and you've got some people that are downright cranky, and that's okay. It's just the process of being aware of what's being said about you, being aware of what people find when they Google your name, and understanding the dynamic that, the statistic right now is 92% of people look online and read reviews before they choose a dentist. And, honestly, I don't know anybody who doesn't. So I think that's an old statistic. I think that the statistics are closer to 99%, 100%. Who doesn't? Who doesn't look up someone's reputation or what their patients say about them before they walk on into a dental office? You want to just know that the person is credible, that they're, that they've got a following, that they have patience, because if you're silent and you have no reviews, you're just not going to look as credible or as good, or maybe the guy's not, or the woman or whomever is not in practice any longer. If you Google their name and there's nothing, you don't want radio silence. You want to be able to have current, a lot, and healthy topical reviews, detailed reviews. And that's just the best. It's a no-brainer. It's just the way you should market yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's so critical now, and I loved what you said, just that you can't have 100% control over what is being said about you. But what you do have control about is whether or not you are contributing to that conversation. So you can come in and share and demonstrate that you are, if it is a negative review, that you are concerned and that you are proactive about doing what you can do to make it right, and I think that's something that, I'll tell clients this all the time. It's not that they expect you to be perfect. They just expect you to try and make it right if something goes wrong, and I think, if they see you are active in those conversations, if someone's posting a negative review, you're responding and you're offering them the chance to discuss with you in a private setting. Of course, online is not that forum. It's not a great idea to do that, but to take a private phone call, and discuss the situation and do what you can to make that right. But also, to your point as well, just everyone is looking at this, and there's numerous benefits to this. There's the search engine optimization, there's the rankings, how it improves your searchability as you garner more reviews, especially more favorable reviews. But a lot of people, like you said, they want to discover what it's actually like. It's one thing to look at a website and that person is talking about themselves, and that's great. That's kind of what we have to do. But it's a third person, and in the case of reviews, it's a third person, and they're sharing, their experience, and that has a lot more weight and credibility to it, I would imagine. So
yeah, for sure.
For a patient, our prospective patient, that's a great source for them to go to. Anything else that you'd say about that?
Yeah, one other thing that I'll point out is kind of an interesting way to look at it, but lawsuits come from people who are unhappy, and if you're not taking note of one patient of yours that is unhappy about a procedure, about how they were treated, it's people who don't feel heard that get upset, and they feel like they're ignoring me. They don't care about me. It's just such a good way to mitigate any situation, and really just keep your finger on the pulse of, how your patients feel. It's not something maybe that you should ignore, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's so true. I worked with a lot of practice managers in the past who are typically the ones that handle those, those patients that are unhappy or dissatisfied with something that happened or did not happen. And what I've noticed is a lot of those ones that are good about just letting the patient vent and talk oftentimes will diffuse themselves. The problem de-escalates so quickly once they've had a chance to articulate it and that they feel like someone's hearing them. Not that they need a solution right there, but just the fact that they have the opportunity to voice their opinion.
Yeah, you bet. It really does diffuse the situation, and you can learn a lot too.
Yeah. So are you able to, we've talked, we've alluded to this, but are you able to, and how much is an online review worth? I mean, let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think we can throw out some generalities.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple studies that have been published, and these were a while ago. Excuse the jet flying over my head. I'm in San Diego. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Can you hear that?
A little bit. That's okay.
Okay.
Maybe you want to go to the airport right now.
Yeah. So there was a study published by Harvard Business School, and they deduced that a 1-star increase in ratings equal about between 5 and 9% of increase in revenue. So that's a pretty good amount.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So say that again, just so I have it right.
Yeah. No problem. So a Harvard Business School study that was published demonstrated that a 1-star increase in ratings was worth about between 5 and 9% in revenue. So, meaning that if you go from a 4 to a 5, you can expect your revenue to increase as much as 9%. And I think the inverse is true as well. If you go from a 5 to a 4, you can expect a decrease.
Yeah.
That's a substantial amount. And you want to capture that if you can, and really be on top of who you're sending out invitations to as far as reviews, requests, and making sure that they're happy and making sure that you're actively engaged. One other study, this is interesting, one other study, and it's not exactly related, but Cornell did a study that hotels can raise their prices about 11% for every 1 point increase. Excuse me.
That's okay.
For every 1 point increase in star rating without losing any customers. So if I have a 5-star rating as a hotel, I can charge about 11% more than a 4-star rating, a similar hotel with a 4-star rating. Equally as good, but I can bump it up 10, 11%, and I won't lose customers.
That is significant. I mean, I'm thinking about it so if you have a practice that's doing $1 million in production a year, and you are able to increase your rating, let's say you're at a 3.9 or something like that, and you go to a 4.9, or even, let's say 3 something to a 4 something, that one increase could potentially add another 50 to 100,000 in production, just that one thing alone.
Right. And it to me, it seems like kind of an easy way to just get more people involved, get more people, more clients, get more revenue. It's something that it's not super hard to do. It's a matter of requesting. And of course, we have a software that generates those requests. And, it's been found that if you can just remove the barriers, if you make it super easy for people, they're happy to leave a review. The people who, unfortunately, are motivated to leave a review usually are people who feel like they want to make a point, or they've been wronged, or they had a bad meal or bad experience. Then you've got the energy behind it to go home and log on and look it up and leave that bad review. If I'm just a normal patient, I'm happy with my dentist, everything's great. I don't have the motivation to go home and tell the world about it. Yeah, I'll tell my friends if they ask, but I'm not going to leave an online review just out of the blue. So the easier you can make it for your patients to be click on that 5-star, it's phenomenal, the amount of activity you can get.
So I'm hearing, and this is, as you're talking about this particular point, I recognize how applicable this is just in general marketing as well, but just removing as much of the friction as possible to, in this case, leaving a review. So if they're not, and that, in this case, Avalon, what are some of those points of friction, would you say?
Oh, just the hassle. I mean, the hassle of thinking about it later, right? So yeah. I've got to leave the appointment, and I've got 100 things to do. Mm-hmm. But for me to actually leave a review, I'd have to leave the appointment, not be thinking about everything else, get home, remember, oh yeah, I had a great experience. I'm going to stop my day and not answer the phone and not do this and, not pay attention to the things that are right in my focus and leave a review. And it's not realistic typically. Yeah. But if you can, your patient's walking out the door and they get a text that says, would you please, thank you for your visit, click on a star rating. And all they have to do is put their finger on the screen and it's published. I mean, you just can't make it easier than that.
That is so sweet. I know. Because if you left up to themselves, it's not going to happen. And that's why a lot of practices don't see many reviews unless they're the negative ones.
And even if you ask your patients, oh, if you're happy today, could you leave me an online review? People will say yes, because meaning they're not being disingenuous. They'll, of course they will.
Yeah.
Will they? They want to. There's no ill will there. Everybody's happy to. It's just, do they get around to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just to ask them to do that, and they almost have to set an appointment with themselves to do that. And then, what happens if they pull up a website? Where do I leave a review? And say it doesn't connect automatically. And then there's all these things that could come up, or there's a phone call that, there's so many.
Yeah. Get interrupted the whole bit.
Yeah. Interruptions there. So I think that's a great point, just to remember in all of, whether it's marketing or just your overall patient experience, how can you remove those points of friction to make it even easier for a patient to come to your practice and do business with you?
Yeah. And then in some ways, I mean, if I've gone out of my way to kind of leave a review, I'm committed, right? I want that confirmation bias. I've already said 5-star for my dentist. I'm going to feel like, what? I've got a great dentist. I'm invested a little bit, and, I'm going to tell people about it.
Yeah. Yeah. They've done a lot of studies to talk about that specific thing, where you become essentially an evangelist or ambassador, because you want to maintain that almost integrity of your position. You don't want to flip flop or anything like that. And so, that's a huge bonus for sure.
Indeed.
For sure. So, okay. So walk us through, how do you, let's say if I'm a practice, I want to start generating more reviews. What would you say is, well, first off, where should we be focusing reviews? I know one screamingly obvious answer, but is there any, just go over the places that you want to be generating reviews for your practice?
Sure. I mean, overwhelmingly, Google is the place. There's ancillary healthcare review websites, but there's so many of them that they really split. It's almost like having a third candidate when you have a Republican and a Democrat. You get a third one in there. All it's doing is split the vote. Yeah. So I think overwhelmingly Google is the place that people. It feels like you said. It's agnostic as far as people feel very. Like it's, what am I trying to say? Authentic. It feels very authentic. Nobody's got an agenda when they go on Google. They're just leaving a review. Yeah. And so the easiest way to do it, if I want to give myself a commercial and my company a commercial, the easiest way is to get a software. And what the software does, among other things, is that it will send out either text and or email a review request to your patient after they leave. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's not something that you have to actively think too much about. You could, do it all at once at the end of the day. You can send them all out, or you can send them out per patient. There's all sorts of little features. There's a block list. There's a way to cross search your reviews. You can see them all at once in a portal, so you can keep on track on top of it. And then also you have the ability to respond to reviews at that place. You'd be surprised how personal reviews can get. And, dentists are people. And I think that people don't really remember that, you're actually leaving a personal review when you're responding versus a practice or a business.
Yes.
So, dentists have feelings too, right?
Yes.
And nobody wants to read some bad review about how they were mistreated or whatever. Another thing that we offer, which has been helpful, is that we are the voice of reason. If you feel like you don't know how to respond to a review or you're hot under the collar, you can contact your account manager and they can say, all right, here's a HIPAA compliant way to do it. You might want to say it this way. It's just another way, because the last thing you want to do is publish something under your name online for the world to see if it isn't the best response. If you do seem a little mad or irked, and we have to kind of like pull people back sometimes, because, like I said, it's a personal thing. Nobody wants. I'm glad I don't get rated. I'm glad that nobody can Google me and be like, oh, she wasn't so good at this, or she wasn't always on her game. It's true for everybody. Not everybody has a good day 100% of the time, but truly, it's rough to be so public.
Yeah. And it's, we touched on this briefly before, and it's really not the place to try and defend yourself. It's all that's going to do is invite a continued opposition. And yeah, I've seen people try that. They want to defend their honor and integrity, and it is a nightmare.
You got to take it offline.
Oh yeah. Because it's so hard to, well, for one thing, it's just not a place where you can, you don't understand tonality and sarcasm, and because some people could take it the wrong way. And if they do, then you're down the alternate path that you weren't intending. So it's just better to just be totally clean of that and try and talk to them face to face or on the phone.
For sure.
But still respond. Yeah, definitely. I was also going to ask you too about, because I get this a lot too. So is there a number? How many reviews do I need? I want to get to like 50 reviews. Is that the magic number? Is there a magic number?
There is not a magic number. One thing I will say, though, that not all reviews are created equally. Reviews that are 3 years old, 2 years old, 1 year old, they're just not as relevant and fresh. You want to have a good, active, healthy number. And I don't have that number. I do know, though, that when I'm looking up a dentist or I'm looking up somebody to go to, I want to see what's going on in their practice now. I am not so concerned what happened 2 years ago, because it feels like it's too distant. Yeah. I want something fresh, and I want it to feel, active, like it was someone that just left a review. Yeah, because practices change, and people, they look at dates and they want some activity.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too. I think there's some people that there's going to be a percentage of those patients that while they might rate you 5 stars, they don't leave any specifics, right. And so that compared to a 5-star review where they're articulating exactly why you're giving them, they gave you a 5-star rating, that's tremendously more impactful than just almost like an anonymous 5-star review.
Yes, indeed. For sure.
That's something I would encourage all practices out there to do, is to say, when you're asking for them to leave a review, ask them to be specific about why they gave us their rating, and just so that they can think of one particular thing. And another thing that just came to mind too, that this is super helpful and it makes it that much easier to generate the review or have the patient do the review is I think there is a timing issue. I mean, that's timing can be critical. So if they are right in the practice and they've just had a good experience, that's kind of a sweet spot, and asking them to leave a review right then is going to be a lot easier than even that night or,
yeah. I think it's helpful to do both, to do a text and an email at the same time, because sometimes when someone's walking out to their car or whatever, they'll go like, oh yeah, I'll get back to that. When they get home, if they have an email that says, thanks so much for your visit. If you haven't taken some time, take some time to review us now, or take some time to tell us what you liked about us, or something, kind of positive. It's a jog of the memory. Oh yeah, I meant to do that, because indeed people want to tell their physician or their dentist that they're happy with them, that they had a good visit. It's a matter of doing it, right? It's a matter of just making it easy, like we said before.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. Okay, the other question I had is that I get a lot too. Is this happened actually last week? Can I get negative reviews removed from my account? Is there a way to delete those entirely?
There used to kind of be a way, not 100%, but there is no way right now. There is no way. I mean, Google is just not in a position to figure out and verify whether this person was one of your patients, was not one of your patients. Is it a fair review? They're just not going to be the mediator. The only thing you can do, and what I would encourage anybody to do, is just drown those bad reviews out with positive reviews. You get heaps of positive reviews on top of the negative reviews. You just dilute them. You just dilute it makes it so much less impactful. If you have 5 reviews posted to your Google My Business page, and they're all negative, it's just not going to look good. But if you've got 100 reviews and 5 of them are negative, you're good.
Yeah. And that's the thing to remember, is that you're just, I wouldn't stress, you want to respond to the negative reviews, but don't let those deter you from asking, and keep asking, because the vast majority of your patients are having a great experience. That's why they keep coming back.
Right.
And so just keep asking. It's gonna once it becomes a habit, and better yet, if you find a software to do it for you, or some system where you don't even have to think about it, all the better. It's just going to be much easier.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. What else do you feel like, have we missed anything in this? Because I want to make sure, what other questions that you get asked a lot that maybe we haven't touched on? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I mean, I will say that it surprises me these days now that I find dentists who have not even claimed their Google My Business page, which astounds me, because, right? I mean, you can't buy that. You can't buy that position, right? You get a third of a page on the computer, a third of a screen dedicated to your smiling face and your practice with all your information. I mean, it's the hugest ad that you can have. And it surprises me that people have not taken advantage of it, or maybe they don't know or whatever, but that's kind of why we're here there as well, to kind of help out, make sure that your information is correct, make sure that you're getting those fresh reviews, because it's invaluable. I mean, the thing about the Google My Business pages is no person gets them other than physicians or dentists. I mean, you can be a lawyer, you can be an actor. The president of the United States doesn't get them. Congressmen don't get them. It's really unique, and to not take advantage of it, it's a misstep in my opinion.
Yeah. So, and the process is pretty straightforward. You just have to go through a verification process. They'll send you a physical postcard to make sure that you're legitimate.
Got to claim it, right?
Yeah. I've been through the process a couple of times. And but for those who don't even, let's say there's some out there that don't even know what a Google My Business page is, describe what it is for them.
Google My Business page is really kind of an ad. It's a placement. Businesses get that. They get claim their listing in a way. So it's an opportunity to put pictures in, to put your location, to put your hours, to put your contact information, that every business address gets. And then, like I said, the only people that get them are dentists or physicians. So they consider them entities in a way, because really when you're a dentist, you are your brand. Yeah. And it's a way to get yourself out there. And when somebody Googles dentist near me, you want your picture to pop up and you want to show up. Or if someone Googles your name, you don't want just a screen with a bunch of, words on it. You want that third of a screen to be, hey, come see me. This is what I'm all about. Or click on my website.
Yeah. And that's what, you think about it too. This is a Google that we're talking about, and you have a listing on their site, and they're obviously, the best of the best in terms of searching content. And so if your goal is to be seen online, this is imperative. Like you have to, mission critical, like you have to have a listing on there. Yeah. And it's in terms of reviews, circling back to reviews, this is going to make it so much easier for them to leave a review. If you don't have it, then, they might, I think they're still, sometimes if they have enough interest, they might do, I don't know what they call it, but it's like an unclaimed listing essentially, and so I have left a review on those before, but I think it's just that much harder to find,
Right.
And so, and again, by claiming it, then you can personalize it and add to it your description of what you do and services and keywords. And so it's just going to help your ranking. It's really so important if you're trying to rank locally,
Yes, indeed.
And so that's a great place to start. If you haven't done that, then I definitely get started on that. And then in terms of, what would you recommend, Avalon, in terms of a practice that's, okay, they want to generate more reviews? Where do you start? Is it just coming up with a plan or a goal, or what do you think is the best?
I would try to get everybody on board with it. Try to really impress upon your office staff that you guys are all in this together, right? A thriving practice means people are employed, means bonuses. It means things are great. And it's everybody's job to keep that practice going. And it's everybody's job to show a happy face, just like you're supposed to show a happy face when your patients arrive. You want to say hello. This is just a much more public, and whether you like it or not, you're going to show a face. So show a happy face, in my opinion. Yeah. And get people on board to send out the review request, get people on board to actively, maybe as patients are going out. Oh, the other thing we do is we can create a QR code. So patients can just scan a code and the review request just pops up, and then they can leave a review. I mean, that's really a no-brainer. If you want to have that in your waiting room, you could have it in, where people are checking out or whatever. The office staff can say, hey, would you mind scanning this and leaving a review? Mm-hmm. People will do it. It's just easy.
Right. Yeah, that's a great another little tactic that you can deploy is just having signage around, like you said, that it makes it easy for them, reduces that friction. Scan the code, it goes right to Google, and leave the review right there. Yeah. And that's such a smart way to do that. Well, awesome. Okay. Any last comments that you would add to this? I think this has been a great discussion. I know I've taken a couple of notes that I wrote down. But any last thing you would add to this, Avalon?
I would say that if you're paying attention and you're listening to this podcast, then, obviously you're in the realm of making your practice better. So I would just say congratulations to you that you're actively thinking about it, and you're thinking about not just now, but you're thinking about how you can make it better in the future. And that's awesome.
It is. I love working with people like this, because they're so, like you said, they're just passionate about making it better and better, and because they want to serve people to a greater degree, and it rises all boats, it's so great because that impacts so many people. And yeah, it's just the best way to do business. So for those that want to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about Empath IQ, what is the best way to do that?
Well, they can do one or two things. They can either go to www.empathiq.io, or they could call me at 858-375-5686. And I am more than happy to chat with them on the phone and answer any questions or give them a little pep talk or talk them through it. We're here and we're happy to help. And we want to see people grow and thrive and put the good word out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Avalon, for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate all the insight and your preparation as well. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
Hey, my friends. Thank you for joining us today on the show. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out our website for resources, downloads, and additional information at www.dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. Again, that's dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. And we'll catch you next time on the show.